Hello guys, hi there. I'm having Turkish tea because it's quite hot outside and my hair is standing up all over the place. I hope you're doing well. I am too, certainly. I have a little bit of a combination of, check-in type energy work update for you guys. Basically, the one thing that I have been working on just now is I encountered the important bit in my energy work. I mean, everything's important, of course. All the chakras are important. All the areas in that type of, field are, you can't do without any of them, really. But I was going to stress the importance, for me at least, of the Star Chakra once more. Because in the past half hour or so, I've been kind of wrestling with an energy that was lodged in there that I think is gone now. Yes, it's gone into the light. But it had to do with the person that I was before I started all my integrating work. So whether it's Shakti energy work or completion process type, getting back into contact with layers of, hidden parts of my person or whatever, all of that has really been a long combination of techniques that I've tried to apply for many years now. And I mean, I grew up with some type of chakra kundalini meditation, even though if I look back on it now, I don't think I really ever, accomplished anything at all. It was just like a concentration exercise that I used to do because my mother wanted me to. So what I got was a strong sensation of actually a feeling of sadness. And it's the first time that my Earth Star Chakra underneath my feet communicated to me to such an extent an emotion that actually belongs with me. Because I've, talked about this on my channel before a couple of times, that the Earth Star Chakra is actually an access point for us to a whole world of energy, layers and vibrations that as we work with them, as I work with them, I always tend to, I used to encounter the weirdest, the strangest types of energies that weren't really a part of my personal life in any way. I could tell the difference. And so looking at this today, it's more like, okay, so this is actually part of me. This is actually, and probably what I can see is a combination how the all the work that I'm doing is sort of weaving into each other now. So the different types of meditation, the Shakti energy work, which is really a separate, type of process from all the other white light searchings and, focused intent type work. The introducing of the Shakti energy into your life is basically what my channel is coming to be about to a large extent, because I think that's quite interesting. I think that there's lots of people out there who are more or less afraid of Kundalini energy, and nobody puts this type of stuff out there, so I can. So here goes, this is just something I can contribute that I think may serve at some point. It serves people already out there somehow. So that's really important, this introducing the Shakti energy to our bodies again, basically, to our emotional lives, then seeing what happens, and then, you know, developments and events, that things that happen to you, and then how you respond to things, and whether that changes at all, and all that, you know. Also practical aspects to that whole tale, of course. Like how do I respond to people? How do things actually change? You know, am I better able to deal with anxiety and all that? And for me to deal with anxiety and potentially depression or isolation or any of it, I also have to face my issues, which have to do with abandonment and, you know, isolation in the past as it used to be. And there's a lot of sadness that actually used to be the norm that I didn't even feel as such. So a lot on my channel and a lot in these videos and these vlogs is about how it seems like everything can sort of be detached from everything else. That's fragmentation for you. Yeah. And what I'm trying to do here is integrate the lot and then see how my consciousness itself changes, because like last week, this baby awareness has sort of become a part of me now, and lo and behold, there's a different next level of the impression that I get from energy vibrations is different now, because I'm different. So that's how intricate and complicated this gets. It's, you know, yeah, I haven't done any writing down recently, so it's just coming to you as it is. So I always feel like when I am not completely, you know, bouncing around and happy and active, there's always something in my earth star chakra there tends to be some type of a stopper in there. Something is in there that is telling me something. It's actually communicating with me. Only up to now, those people or fields that were in there used to be less immediately recognizable to me as belonging to myself. Like today, even a couple of weeks ago, it was quite recognizable as something to do with my grandmother on my father's side, or in the past there have been several types of grandmother or foremother interactions on in that area. And each time the action is the same, you know, have white light to come in and try to, you know, detach whatever it is that's in there, to go, you know, detach it from the surroundings that it is in, and then, you know, up and away to where it's supposed to go. This time it was different because it was personal to me, and it had a lot to do with the past as I know it in this body. The funny thing is that it also had to do with past lives. And this is where it got kind of interesting again, which is also the reason I'm making this vlog again. Because it's a lot of the same things, and it looks like the same type of information it's becoming more of a whole in a way, I hope. I think so. In the sense that the past lives and the Shakti energy and the completion process actually turns out more and more that everything is contributing to, I suppose, expansion for me now. And I could sort of, before I could have the sad feeling, the feeling of basically being very limited, having a very limited, very closed in type life. That's what was in there. And it was not completely depressing yet, but it was, you know, stuffy and like almost immobile. It didn't move. It didn't emotionally, I'm saying. I'm not saying it didn't have any motion to it. It's just that in the feeling, it was like, boring, still, like, like one of those afternoons where you just have no clue what to do with yourself, except for years on end. And there were years in my life that I was actually like that. It was like no goals, no plans, no adventure, none of that. Just very stale and like a backwater. Nothing ever happens in there. So that type of emotional, and I was used to that, and I wasn't fighting it because it was, part of it was just my everyday existence, and it was stifling. Oh yeah, it was quite stifling. And considering how stifling it is and how much I tend to love being, feeling free and being out of doors and in, the ocean and the mountains and all that, it goes to show how much I had bottled myself in, really, in order to adapt to this stale type of life, to this, condition of not being in any type of change or movement or growth at all, ever. So to me, if I explain it like that, if I describe it like that, you can see that having like a child, a tiny infant self-awareness inside that has never been allowed to do any growing and any trying stuff out and being a part of life and being a part of processes from one day to another and from 1 year to another, having that creates this. It's like the handbrake was on in my life always. So obviously making these efforts and going through these processes now and undoing the handbrake and sort of, it's like basically like going on a holiday. You just, you're going off into space almost. It's like, it feels like that a bit. But like I was going to tell you, I am being very convoluted here as usual. Before I could even sort of grab hold of this sadness, and just because I might have said, I suppose, this is like 17 years ago, the last time that I actually felt like this. So goodbye, thank you, thank you for the fish. It's good. You're gone. You're done here. But I didn't. It was like it stuck to me, and it was like it wasn't even. It wasn't heavy. It was like rubbery. It resisted. It was slightly flexible, and it just didn't move. It just didn't change at all. White light or purple light or golden light or never. Not that I tried any of those, but I just went in there, sort of in the earth line, down from the earth star chakra down into the earth. And I've been doing quite a bit of Shakti energy work as well, because ow and painful and closed up and corrupt and cranky and all that. So Shakti helps me a lot to open up and feel better and have more, spunk and more fun in life in all sorts of ways. And especially it helps me to feel more like myself, because that's my sort of go-to question always in all these types of moments is whenever I meditate, it's because for some reason I have just sort of stopped feeling like I am really here. That's my go-to item on a list of one, really. Am I actually here? Am I me? Who is me? Let's have me here, because since you're watching and since I'm talking, I might as well, So there's a whole lot of information that comes with Shakti work, in especially the solar plexus and the heart area. That's so interesting. And I've been doing that this morning. Okay, so all that is really nice and open now, and it's fired up and it feels good and it feels like manifesting and like moving and like, you know, doing the things. And then going into the Earth star and finding this field. It's like, okay, here we go. We have some clearing to do. Okay, so I can try to clear this old energy, because by now it's completely an old energy. And I sort of sank down into the earth a whole ways in, like I have no idea of distance, but like it feels like miles into the earth. And to me, there's a couple of points here that I want to make before, calling it a day. The past lives thing is like, I felt it this morning when my heart area is actually activated. So there's enough energy in my heart area. I feel connected to the past lives again. That's amazing, because I like it. I like to feel that connection. And so having emotional problems with people, out there, and things going on and people making me afraid, what I tend to do is go like this again. And, none of it is really working. And then I am not capable of perceiving the emotion that is my part of the past lives. So if you're interested in the past lives business, the Shakti energy work is actually also going to, provide some type of a pathway for you. However, there's a distinction between being capable of seeing and feeling and sort of interacting to the extent that's possible, at least with information from past lives in here, because that happens in here. The interacting happens in here. But the actual information, I think, so far that I've been able to find about your past lives, so what you have been up to on this planet in the distant past, and the level of, sameness between those lives, and several of those lines of lives where there's a certain sameness in them, and now you're here. Okay, those patterns can be sort of found, I think, in the earth line, down a ways, deeper down underneath whatever type of chakras you can think of that you are interacting with in underneath the earth star. Okay, so that's the way I look at it now. The actual information, to the extent that that's actually stored anywhere, I still can't say whether that's actually the case, but it feels like the information of the actual lives that I spent either traveling or living in India back in those days. There's a couple of lives there, and there's things there that if I look at that, it just comes alive. It's extraordinary, the amount of, it's like a feeling of complete recognition that I have with that. And it's isolated from, it's not with all parts of India, and it's not with all activities in India, and it's not with all types of work in India, and it doesn't have to do with Bangladesh or Pakistan necessarily. It's a particular type of wavelength that I'm connected to. Only those, okay? And the information, it's like the actual memory, if you like to call it that, maybe some type of a energetic memory, if that's a thing, I have no idea, is actually stored in the earth line. So there's two things that I'm doing. Basically what I'm telling you here is I am working on the Shakti energy, on making it as accessible as possible, allowing myself to have as much an interaction with Shakti, with my Shakti energy, on as deep a level as I can get at, as often as I can, because it makes me feel so much better, because it makes me feel like I am myself, like I am in here, There's a whole bundle here of, I don't know, parts that need to be active, really, in order for me to do whatever it is that I'm doing in a way that's aligned with who I can be. Okay? There's a fly. There's a fly. The fly's doing its thing. And yeah, so that's the heart area. In the solar plexus area, it's a bit different because I felt this morning quite clearly that if the solar plexus is like yay of a center on your stomach, more or less in the middle of where your stomach is inside, okay? Your chakra is where the sort of funnel of energy coming out of the spine goes forward and opens out like this, okay? And this then, at the tips of my fingers, will be the area on the stomach, okay? So that'll be the center of the third chakra. But there's a but there. What I've noticed is that around that, there's quite a sort of a rim of smaller centers, as many as you like. I can see at least 6 of them, or 7 if you count one in the middle as well, going around the central area. And they're really, what tends to happen is that a lot of the old patterns of fear and pain and resentment and anger and resistance are kind of stored in those little side areas around the solar plexus. So I find that it takes some doing to get the Shakti energy, once it is properly organized along the spinal vertebrae, like so. It'll manifest itself forward into the chakra areas, all of them, in the lower belly area as well. But that's, so far, I have not found that to be much of a problem. That's a happy part of me. It's the middle here, the stomach area and the heart area that I have most trouble with somehow, of sort of getting things to open up, getting things to become mellower and, sort of shift gear to a new phase of life, a new way of being engaged, of actually being a part of whatever it is that I'm in. So everything's quite a bit of a challenge in that area, because I am being confronted with very deep programming here, and it's not funny, Youse. Sometimes I feel like I'm completely up to here with everything. I don't want it anymore. I'm done. I just want to, go on holiday too, like everybody else. So I will go on holiday. We'll go camping. So the past lives information can be there, but in order for us to make the most of that and also distinguish the fine details, because there's a lot of practicing in there, I think. For me, at least, it took a lot of practicing to sort of fine-tune myself. I needed to be really quiet here. I need to focus and sit there and just let it come to me. And there's like subtle differences, and the more I focus, then all of a sudden it's like complete scenes even of very little actual detail, but I can see a lot of light, and I can also see other people as individuals, not the way they look on the outside, but the way they felt to me. So all that is still there, but in order for me to really work with it, I need to work on here as well. So that's my contribution for today, I think. I have been wondering whether there would be a way to use the witch's runes, for example, for me to chart out in some way something, to have something a little more tangible as to what it is that I'm actually going through and doing. Because the more I do this type of work, the more it is like there's always more surprises and there's always things hiding in the corner, and the less sure I actually am of anything. I can only work with my own perception of things. And so that's basically my own hello to myself here also. What I get is my perception of things, obviously. And so what I can work with, that's good, right? You can, as long as you know that that's what you're getting. And for another person, the whole process will be feeling different and it will be expressed differently. I can't wait for somebody else to, go all the way and, bring your version of these things if you're into that type of thing, because it would be so fascinating to compare notes of all these, all these adventures and how it feels to you and what happens. Because another thought that I had, again, something that I'm just going to add on as a little footnote here, I hope, is that I think that that's how our birth charts, our birth horoscopes actually come to us, and how it is that we as people are actually an expression of this earth line that's beneath our feet. And in the earth line and the Shakti energy that is in it, okay, is included the, let's call it that, the awareness that the earth has of the lunar orbit, the sun, the planets, and all the rest of it, up to and including the heart of the galaxy. So, that's how we get a chart. That's why Venus being yonder and the, nature of the different parts of the sky actually showing up as astrological signs or constellations, whatever you like to call them, actually works. Because it isn't even so much the actual sign and its actual characteristics as it is the sequence, the fact that you get Gemini after Taurus, which comes after Aries, and after Gemini you get Cancer, because there's a logic to that, and we have been on this planet for so long, and all the intel is all there. So that's what I'm doing. I am, trying to find words. Sometimes it's a bit hard, but I'm trying to find words to do something, to explain or to talk about things that I'm doing, that I have been doing for a very long time, apparently. And I get a sensation, the one sensation that I got this time out of this particular past life, that I have no further information about content-wise. I'm believing it was somewhere in the mountains between the north of India and Iran, maybe, on that endless long trip there. A decision was made that I, and probably a lot of other people as well, would be isolated from other people again and again. I can kind of see that. I can kind of feel that. And I can also kind of see that I took it on myself, I think, I agreed. I said, okay, so this is what's going to happen. But not in the physical life. So what am I supposed to do here? There's always layers of us that aren't incarnated. And that's a completely different ball game again. So many perspectives. Shakti energy, completion process, soul dimensions, incarnation dimensions, because if I go into that, it becomes the whole of the, from the soul viewpoint, the world here looks like a completely different type of, it looks completely different from what it looks like to us from here. So all these perspectives I am trying to sort of sandwich into each other and make them all come together here, which is why this becomes a huge mess. So if you're still here, thank you very much for watching, as always. It's summertime. Yes, I'm having nice spicy tea and sitting outside and reading harmless stuff, basically, and trying to also just enjoy when there's quiet, because it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm only too glad that I can say that I'm still here and everything is in working order. So, not bad, okay? Time to start chopping onions. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.